So I decided, I am a secondary trained music teacher, spent my MPT year in a secondary school teaching music and performing arts, GCSE and A-level. I then made the shift into primary music, and I'm actually a music specialist across schools, which I will tell you about in a second. So I decided to look at does a curriculum emphasis on singing create higher levels of student focus, enjoyment and confidence than a more traditional primary curriculum, i.e. that one that doesn't hold so much significance in singing. So I've got a little quotation here from Mills, Music in the School, the Bible that we all have to read when we're trained to be music teachers. Music is not a gift but a right. Some primary schools, potentially, may consider music to be a gift, a nice little treat for the children, isn't that lovely? But not fully embedded into the primary curriculum. So that's something to think about. Is that the way that people should be thinking, or should we be thinking of music as being a very important part of primary school? You know what my answer to that question is. Sorry, a lot of information here. So really quickly, as I said, my MPT year, performing arts music specialist school, where singing was a lot of importance was placed on singing. So I taught a singing class on one day and music on a separate day. So children received a separate music and a separate singing class. A lot of importance placed in it. 9 choirs in the school. It was an all-girls Catholic convent school. I'm now a specialist teacher of music within a federation of now 6 primary schools. The way the federation works, we have an executive head who is in charge of our 6 schools now. He is a clarinetist and he holds music, he considers music to be very, very important. The conversation I had with him the other day was, the creative arts is the most important part of the curriculum, as I see it. So he said, no pressure, he said to me, as I walked away. So, music, as I said, singing and music are very important in my federation. We teach singing assemblies for the whole school. Every single school has singing assemblies. Each child has a full class music lesson a week. It is a successful model within our federation. Why does it work so effectively? We have specialist music teachers, weekly class music lessons, weekly school singing assemblies, and also we have, at Christmas we have an infant musical and a junior musical. We also have our end of year 6 productions. There's an argument that specialist music teachers, do they then de-skill primary school teachers who maybe consider themselves as generalists and shy away from teaching music? Some of my colleagues have said to me, thank God you're here, which is a bit of a concern, because obviously if they then move to a school where there's not a music specialist, are they then going to shy away from it? That's something I'll be looking into. So my children are motivated by music and singing. I know that from the responses I have from them. We have a creative arts focus, as I said before, and I'm going to be the lead teacher of that faculty in September. Music is actually quite well embedded into our federation. Each term, each year, so year 1, year 2, up to year 6 obviously, they have a particular project that they do across that term. It starts with a wow lesson in which the classroom is, for example, if they're doing it on Florence Nightingale, which year 2 did, the teacher will turn the classroom into a hospital and we'll have all sorts of activities going on. The children come in, they have to work out what's going wrong, who needs help within the classroom. They have like teddy bears, they've got to look after. And within that, we try to make links in music with what they're studying. So year 1 is doing Africa, so they come and they do African drumming with us in music. So we've got these lovely connections between the two. And then obviously music within the national curriculum, how important is it considered within the national curriculum? Right, really quickly, I told you 6 primary schools. I shouldn't have said Lambeth and Southwark, so please ignore that. So South London, all of our schools started off as failing, and 5 of them are outstanding. 1 we've just taken on, it's a satisfaction moment. Ignore the West Dulwich bits. So I teach in 2 schools within my federation. The one that I've chosen to do my research on is I said here, a high proportion of middle class pupils from affluent backgrounds, which was interesting because then when I sent out my letters to my year 5 class that I chose, the 15 replies that were received, I had little notes on some of them saying, what a great idea. So already you can see the kind of parents that are responding to me already see music as being a positive thing. I didn't get any responses from parents who don't see music as a positive thing. So therefore, I look at, it's a bit narrow, is my slight concern. Okay, research lessons. So 2 upper primary pupils, my focus being year 5, consider music to be a valuable part of the curriculum. If so, how and why? Can singing enhance the upper primary curriculum? If so, how and why? My 3 foci that I chose: the power of music and its benefits to children. So how can it benefit children? Singing as a motivator. Can singing motivate children to want to learn? Which leads on to what I want to do a little bit further within my research. Music in the curriculum versus music through the curriculum. I spoke to Ali earlier about the idea that should it be versus? Do I want to be looking at music in the curriculum against through, or do I want them to be working in collaboration? I want to work in collaboration. Right, quickly to my research design. So I'm looking at qualitative responses and from an interpretive approach. I started my research in spring 2014, as Hannah as well, a discussion. I looked at using exit slips. So for one of my lessons, I then gave those 15 children exit slips to complete. Now, obviously those exit slips came with their problems in the halo effect. Things like, because Miss Lucas makes it fun, where I'm thinking, and one girl said, can I just put because I like you? Obviously that's a bit problematic. So then, looked at the next sort of part of my research, subject sorting game, a way of making children I gave them a piece of paper with subjects, so I didn't give them, I gave this to the class teacher. She gave them the subjects within primary curriculum. They then had to sort them in preferential order. The good thing about this was I gave it to her to give to the whole class. So they all thought, oh, this is fun, let's have a go at this is great fun, with no idea that it came from me. So this was Ross from the University of Exeter, so it's helping to alleviate the halo effect. From those responses, I then obviously only took the 15 children who had responded to say they could be in it. I made 4 focus group interviews with semi-structured questions because I didn't want to, I wanted to make it semi-structured to allow for discussion within the interviews. I then split them into 3 children that put music low down, 3 that put music in the middle, 3 that put music in the top 3, and then I interviewed also my barbershop boys, my all boys soul singing group. As I'm sure others of you have discovered, it's quite a difficult position to be in as a teacher researcher because they've known me for 2 years. I have a very good relationship with these children. So obviously you've got the difficulties that come with that. My coding, I used Mason, Jennifer Mason's thematic coding, relating to the 3 aspects of my literature review. I used 2 methods of triangulation at this stage, but I still want to extend this. Sources, so different interviewees, audiences. I'm yet to interview the class teacher, so that'll be another element. Also methods, so I'm using focus groups and exit slips. I'll probably run out of time now. Just really quickly. After one lesson in which the children learnt a song about rivers, so linking into the idea of music through the curriculum, music helping them to remember facts in geography. I then asked them what they enjoyed about the lesson, and they said working in groups, so with their friends, and using instruments because we had instruments to accompany us. The reason that I've discovered why children like playing instruments is because they like the challenge of reading the music and of actually using their bodies to obviously play instruments. Was that 5 minutes?
No, it's Julia at the door, sorry.
Sorry. What they least enjoyed, they say lesson times are too short, which I know Johnny highlighted in your responses as well. They felt it was too short, and also, bless them, concerned about other children not listening. That's a bit they don't like. So what part do they enjoy the most? Again, going back to the groups. They like working in groups because it's quite a positive environment and they feel supported by their peers, so they don't feel like they're on their own. Looking at whether children felt that singing helped them remember facts. Most of them said yes, some said sometimes, nobody said no. When I looked at how many take part in choirs or ensembles within the school, the majority said yes, and those that said no said they would like to be. So it was definitely a shown desire to want to be in the choir. The choirs that they said they were involved in was choir, so junior choir with me, brass band, so children that learn brass instruments, and the Barbershop Boys, and also 2 children spoke about church choir outside of school. Right, this is basically asking them what they enjoy about their choirs and ensembles. Playing as a group and singing were the most enjoyed elements. One person said we can be ourselves in choir. I'm interested to know why they think that. My favourite one, we are able to have that responsibility in the future to make the world happy. Oh, it's just so cute, and the reason I teach primary school children. Again, many people said that they enjoy music lessons in choir, but they felt the time was too short. Because obviously, as you know, within your school days, I can only take the children half an hour, and their class teacher gets upset if I take for too long. Okay, so that's my extra slips. Going on to my focus group questions. What's your focus group? My focus groups 1, 2 and 3, which was the people who put music at the bottom, middle and top. These were my questions. The Barbershop Boys had slightly different questions, which I think sort of feeds into more like identity, because obviously these boys are chosen to be in this group. So I'll give you a couple seconds to look at that. So favourite subjects, do you play an instrument? Do you take part in music at school? Do you enjoy singing? Does singing help you remember facts? What do you enjoy, not enjoy in music lessons? So like I did with the exercises. With the Barbershop Boys, slightly different. Why do you like being in the Barbershop Boys? How is it different to learning music lessons? So looking at the fact that it's like an extracurricular ensemble. How does singing make you feel when you're doing it? Do you enjoy singing in a group? What should be your favourite moment in Barbershop so far? Now that was very interesting, the last question, some of the things that they said. I've then split my findings into, look at my 3 elements of my literature review. There's a lot to see here, so I don't go to the next one. But the power of music's benefits for children, this is what some of the children said, and I've coded into that category. I'd just like to give you a quote from Le Mans 2012. It's almost like the music made me feel powerful, and I think it had the same effect on everybody, as it never sounded so good. At the end of the performance, I just felt absolutely elated. That kind of links the idea that music, the sort of effect it can have upon children and even adults when you're in a group, and how you feel when you're performing and you have an audience watching you. Now, from this, I found from my focus groups, I found that shy children found singing to be a positive way of expressing themselves. Children enjoy listening to music in lessons, and they enjoy the kudos of singing as a group and performing a concert. So the idea that the process that they're going through is going to end up in a product, motivates them to get to that end product. Then I looked at singing as a motivator, and these are some of the quotations that the children gave me. And I found from looking at the theme of singing as a motivator, these are the common themes I came up with. They want to express themselves and their emotions through singing and performing. They consider singing as fun. They sing to themselves at home. The Barbershop Boys said they like learning songs from back in the day, as they described it. Children enjoying older musical styles such as jazz, blues and soul. Working with friends in the Barbershop Boys because they're not in class. It's boys from both year 5 classes, so maybe they're with groups that they're not usually with in class. They like working with people from other classes, as I said before. There's a quote I think I wanted to find. I like the Barbershop because we sing jazz songs and it's that type of music that's kind of groovy and we make up the dance moves and I think we all work well together. So that's the sort of things that they were saying. I'm a dancer as well, so that comes out in that group. And I've chosen a quotation from Helen. The physical act of singing, whether alone or in choir, has been found to reduce levels of tense arousal and to increase levels of energetic arousal and positive hedonic tone. So the idea that, again, that working in groups, singing together, has a really positive effect. Last thing, I'll just take that verse as the word out. It's music in the curriculum and music through the curriculum. So children said in their focus groups that singing helped them to remember facts. Learning songs about specific topics helped improve their memories of the topics they were learning about the water cycle. The idea of using a rhythm to remember words, facts, is effective and helps them to remember. for example, one child said, yes, definitely, because when we learnt about the river song at the beginning of the song, it has all these other songs, but then Miss, the class teacher, said, write down all the names of the rivers you know, and we literally wrote down the Thames, the Nile and the Amazon. But then after we learnt the song, we literally knew about 100. It wasn't 100, it was about 10. But anyway, the point is, they then, because they were going with Nile, Missouri, Yangtze, Volga, they felt that now they can, because they're singing those rivers, they can recall that information. Now the quotation that I've used, it could be a flaw, because obviously it's related to children of 3 to 5 years. However, you could argue that this continues through education. In educating settings for children from 3 to 5 years, music making can stimulate and reinforce the development of language and communication skills. It shares many of the features of the mother tongue. Music can be seen as a second or possibly a first language. Okay. So the idea that, I actually have a toddler group in our children's centre, and parents have said to me that their child has come home singing the songs, but children that don't necessarily speak. They're singing before they're speaking. Quite an interesting one. The boy I teach with Down syndrome, same thing. He sings but doesn't speak. So my recommendations for practice at this stage, because I still would like to continue my research, I'm going to be interviewing the class teacher. Also, I'm going to be planning a lesson for her, which links music with probably history, whatever they're studying in history at the moment. And because we're doing rap at the moment in Year 5, I would like her to get the children to come up with a rap to remember the facts that they're learning in lessons, and just to see how effectively the children can then recall information. So I still realise there's more to do with the research. So what I've come up with, children in school are motivated by singing in music lessons and extracurricular choirs. This is the most important bit, performing opportunities in concerts gave them a means of showing their talents to others. Going back to the idea that they are, the process is obviously important to them, but if there's a product at the end, that's what really motivates them. My boys are constantly saying, when have we got a concert, when have we got a concert? They're so excited about showing their work to the school and having that recognition. And again, I've talked about concerts and performance motivating children in the preparation time as they're preparing for something that means something to them. It's also linking back to what you were saying about the real world, and they feel like it has relevance to them. So we're not just doing it for the sake of it, there's a purpose. Limitations, as I'm sure you've gathered. The power relationships, so they know me as their class music teacher, already got strong relationships with them, so leading a possible halo effect. What I found helped with this halo effect, before we started, I said to them, you must tell me the truth, and don't be fazed by the fact that I'm a music teacher. I won't be upset, I won't go home crying. And I think that did help, so in some ways. However, I did a little letter interview at the end, in which I said to them, right, so how did that feel? Did you feel you were telling the truth? And I actually explained what the halo effect is to them. And they were very interested, because they felt part of the process of it. One said, but we were telling the truth. And I thought, yeah, again, it's sort of going round and round. Had it worked, we explained that to children. My conclusions, because obviously I've still got to go further on, encouraging children to compose their own songs to remember facts and information in lessons across the curriculum, and encouraging class teachers to make greater use of songs in lessons to remember facts. I know some teachers within my federation do use singing a lot when it comes to learning, and even tidying up. There's like a tidy up song for reception children. It's quite well embedded.